Internet. Today I'm going to be doing my monthly recommendations for the month of May, and this month the theme is contemporary. If you don't know what monthly recommendations is, it's a Goodreads group that was started by Kayla Rain and Trina over at Between Chapters. So I will link the Goodreads group down in the description in case you want to join in. But they basically give you a topic every month and you make a video that month kind of recommending your favorite books that fit into that topic. And I'm a huge fan of contemporary. Contemporary is a genre that I've been reading for a really long time, and when I reorganized my bookshelves in my new place, I actually gave a couple of favorite shelves. This one up here being my favorite fantasy, and this one right here being my favorite contemporary. So I pulled a lot of books from that shelf for this. I didn't want to talk about too many, but I have 7 here that I'd like to quickly mention. I'm going to try and start with ones that I haven't read in a while and then move up to the ones that have become recent favorites. So the first one I want to talk about is Looking for Alaska by John Green. I am a huge John Green fan. I have a Nerdfighter shirt on for Project for Awesome from this past year. And I've been following John for a really long time. Vlogbrothers is one of the reasons I got into YouTube. And while I like him more as a YouTuber, I still really appreciate his books as well. And this one was always my favorite of his books. It's about a boy named Miles who goes to this boarding school. He's transferring to this boarding school, and I think it's the same boarding school that his dad went to. I might be making that up, but he has this obsession with famous last words, or last words that famous people have said before they died. And he's trying to find his own great perhaps, which is probably a quote you've seen around the internet, floating around the internet a lot. But he ends up meeting this girl named Alaska and some of his other friends, and the story kind of takes off from there. Now I will say I fully acknowledge the fact that the manic pixie dream girl trope is definitely used in this book, which there are a lot of books where I really don't like that trope, but even though I am not a fan of that trope, I still really like this book. But if you don't like reading any books with that trope, this may not be the book for you. But I really love this book. This is my favorite John Green book for sure. And it's been a while since I've read it, so a good 3 years or so. I think I might give this a reread sometime in the future. The next book I have is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. And this is another pretty popular book. It's a really short book. I think I read this book in a day, but I really loved it. I also really loved the film adaptation with Logan Lerman, Emma Watson, and Ezra Miller. Is that his name? But this is about a boy named Charlie, and it's told through diary entries, sort of. It's almost like he's writing letters, but like a diary, because he always titles the next entry Dear Friend. But he really doesn't have any friends, and he's entering his freshman year of high school, and he becomes friends with some other kind of misfits at school, and they're all seniors, and I just really love this story, and I would be kind of surprised if you haven't heard of this one. Next I have another one that's probably going to make a lot of people's lists, and that book is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This one I definitely want to reread sometime this year, because I haven't read it since I think I was a junior in college, maybe, or I want to say it was the summer before my junior year of college. But this book is about a girl named Kath who is starting her first year of college. She is a twin, and she writes fan fiction for the Simon Snow series, which is very similar to Harry Potter. And it just gave me all of the feels about whenever the Harry Potter books and movies were still coming out, and just that fangirl feeling, you know what I mean? I just really resonated with her as a main character. And I really love the relationship in here between her and Levi. And it's just a really good, it's a good book. It's one of my favorite contemporaries of all time for sure. And like I said, I really want to reread this sometime this year, because it's been a few years since I read it. But I feel like this is going to make a lot of people's lists, because since, us on BookTube, a lot of us tend to be kind of the fangirly type. A lot of people on BookTube have read this book and really resonated with it. But I felt compelled to put it on this list anyway, because I would be lying if I didn't say that it wasn't a favorite. So the next 4 are all books that I've read in the last year or so, and a lot of them are books I've read in the last couple of months. This one is one that I read last year, and that is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. I think I actually mentioned this in my last monthly recommendations video, now that I think about it, because it's a really big contemporary book. but it's about a girl named Andy who is the daughter of a politician, and Andy is a really big planner. She has her whole summer kind of planned out. I think she has an internship or something lined up, and then a scandal happens with her dad, and her summer kind of just becomes unexpected. She ends up becoming a dog walker, which is why the cover is adorable as it is. And I think this book does a really good job of balancing friendship, romantic relationships, and family relationships. So I really like it for having all those different aspects. And Morgan Matson is just a really good contemporary writer. I have read a couple more of her books, and I have others that I want to read for sure. And I really just love her as a person. She's adorable. But yeah, I read this last summer, I think, and it quickly became a favorite. The next book I have is so far probably my favorite book I read so far this year. Another one of the ones on this list is, I don't know if it's quite tied for favorite book, but it's close. But I think this is probably my favorite book I've read so far this year, and that's The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. If you haven't heard of this book, you must be living under a rock because everyone's talking about it, but for a good reason. This is one of those books where it really does deserve all the hype it's getting. It's about a girl named Star who witnesses one of her best friends being murdered by a police officer, and it kind of focuses on her story as the only witness and just like how she deals with it, how she's dealing with the other things going on in her life. And it's just a really, really amazing book. I feel like this book should be required reading for humanity because there are just so many people who don't get why the things that happen in this book, which happen in real life all the time, are a big deal, and I don't understand why people can't wrap their mind around that concept. But I really, really loved this book. Like I said, a lot of the time books are hyped up and then they get hyped up to the point where they almost don't deserve the hype anymore, but this book deserves every bit of hype it's been getting, and if you have not read this yet, you need to get on that. Because even though this book deals with a lot of hard concepts, it's still very, very much a contemporary story. There's friendships. Star has a lot of friends. She has a boyfriend, and there's a really cute relationship, and she has a really great relationship with her family, and read this book. The next book is Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour, and this is a book about Emmy, who is about to be in college. It's like the summer before she goes to college, and she is interested in the filming industry. She does like production design and stuff, and she has had a couple of internships for it, and that's what she wants to go to school for. But she is bisexual, and she ends up getting a crush on this girl, and there's a mystery element to it, and it's just a really, really, really cute contemporary story, and I really, really loved it. And it's also very different. Having all the different aspects from like the filming side of things was really, really cool, and it made it very different from a lot of other contemporaries I've read, and I really appreciated that. But I just really loved this book, and I think that everyone should read it. The very last book I have to recommend is the book what I was saying. It almost ties for my favorite book of the year so far with The Hate U Give, but I think The Hate U Give still kind of beats it out, but just barely. I actually just read this book this month, which is why you haven't seen me talk about it yet, and I just really, really loved this book, and that book is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. This book was just so good. It's so incredibly diverse. It's about a girl named Molly who has had like I think 26 crushes, but she's never done anything about it for a variety of reasons, and she's kind of okay with it. But then when her twin sister Cassie gets a girlfriend, she feels more compelled to try and get a boyfriend, and her sister Cassie is kind of annoyingly trying to help her with that. But this book was just so good. It has amazing fat representation, which I just really, really appreciated as someone who, you know, is a little overweight, and a lot of the time when you read books about characters that are overweight, it's just very like negative thoughts and stuff, and I just really, really appreciated this book for that reason. I could really relate to that part of Molly. Molly and her family are Jewish. Her and her twin sister Cassie were raised by two moms, one of which is gay and one of which is bisexual, and also their moms I think are an interracial couple. I think I remember that correctly, which I thought was really cool. So this book is just really diverse in a lot of different ways, and I thought that it was all just done really, really well. And thank you, Becky, for this book, for putting this book out into the world. It has become one of my favorite books of all time. and I'm just so glad that I read it. Like I said, it almost ties with The Hate U Give for my favorite book of the year so far. So I really loved this book and I can't recommend it enough. So that's it for this month's monthly recommendations. Let me know down in the comments any other contemporary that you would like to recommend to me, because like I said, I really love contemporary books, and even though I have read a lot of them, there are still a lot that I need to read. So I always enjoy hearing other recommendations, or if you've done the monthly recommendations topic, leave that video linked to me in the comments so I can go watch it. And that will be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye.